The twin suns of the Zeta Prime system beat down mercilessly on the fledgling human colony. Jake Gunther wiped the sweat from his brow as he surveyed the construction site before him. Only a few prefab structures and some makeshift shelters had been erected so far. It had been 3 months since the Conestoga-class colony ship had touched down on this harsh alien world after a decades-long journey from Earth. The 500 pioneering human colonists had known they were in for a challenge, but actually experiencing the realities of carving out an outpost on this barely terraformed planet was proving far more difficult than expected. "Better recheck those moisture condenser units," Jake said to his work partner Miguel Torres. "We're already running low on water reserves." Miguel nodded grimly. "If we don't get those atmospheric processors online soon, I don't know how we'll make it through the year." As part of the central planning team for Zeta Prime, Jake and Miguel were all too aware of the precarious situation they found themselves in. The resource probes sent ahead had done an admirable job terraforming the previously barren world into something barely habitable for human life. But unforeseen complications had plagued the colony from the start. Just then, an alarm sounded from one of the environmental tents. Jake and Miguel exchanged worried looks before rushing over with a small crew in tow. Inside they found Raj Patel, the colony's chief biotechnician, frowning at the readings on his monitor. "What's the emergency?" Jake asked, already fearing the worst. "We've got a microbe population spike in the western hydroponic bays," Raj explained, pulling up a graphic display. "The protein synthesizers got contaminated somehow. We'll need to purge the whole system." Jake swore under his breath. With their food reserves already stretched thin, this was a catastrophic setback. How long to get it back online? "A week. Maybe 2 if we cycle the quarantine protocols properly." Raj shook his head. "We're going to be rationing again." The rest of the men in the room traded worried looks. Food and water had been tightly managed from the start thanks to repeated systems failures. Just last month an ill-timed dust storm had nearly suffocated them all before the filter banks could be brought online. "Keep me posted," Jake said with a resigned sigh. "I'll update the citizens at the town hall meeting." As he strode back into the sweltering alien day, Jake couldn't help but feel the colony's future was hanging by a thread. He'd been a staunch believer and firm advocate for the Zeta Prime expedition from the moment the idea was proposed. The chance to settle a new, Earth-like world and expand humanity's reach among the stars was something he'd dreamed of since he was a boy. But the harsh realities they now faced made that idealistic vision seem terribly naive. Miguel jogged up beside him, mopping his sweaty brow with a grimy rag. "Let me guess. Another setback." Jake gave a mirthless chuckle. "When isn't it? This whole colony is starting to feel cursed." "Hey, don't give up on us yet," Miguel chided him. "We're human, remember? We're the underdogs who always find a way to overcome anything the universe throws at us." That unshakable optimism and determination was just one of the reasons Jake had selected Miguel for his advance team. Despite the mounting challenges, his old friend's words helped rally Jake's resolve. "Right you are," Jake said with a nod. "I'll rally the others at the meeting. We didn't come all this way just to be taken out by a few microbes in dusty days." Over the next week, the colony pulled together and doubled down on efforts to repair the damaged systems and stretch their dwindling resources. Laboring under the heat of the dim twin suns, they toiled night and day to get production lines operational again. Jake did his part to keep morale high with rousing speeches, but maintaining everyone's determination in the face of such hardship tested even his considerable leadership skills. There were more than a few sleepless nights where doubt crept in, taunting him with visions of failure and ruin. Finally, just when their food supplies reached critical lows, the hydroponic bays were purged and repopulated, allowing their self-sustaining food production to slowly ramp back up. And at long last, one of the atmospheric processor units whirred online, slowly but steadily beginning the work of converting the arid world's thin atmosphere into something breathable for human colonists. The first town hall meeting with a unified mood of hope, rather than desperation, saw Jake and his team met with raucous cheers and chants. "We knew you could do it," Miguel shouted over the crowd, beaming with pride. In the days and weeks that followed, more and more systems came online as their infrastructure rapidly took shape. When the first crop of hardy alien tubers was harvested and divvied up among the colony, tears of relief and joy were commonplace. Not long after, half the colony was put to work on an audacious construction project, erecting a towering central dome habitat that would allow widespread shirt-sleeve environments in preparation for opening the colony up to further settlers from Earth. Jake oversaw every aspect of it, driven by a fervor for success that bordered on obsession. Getting a mite carried away there, amigo Miguel remarked one day as he caught Jake reviewing the schematics for the dome structure at 2 a.m., "Even us human dynamos need sleep every now and then." Jake rubbed his bleary eyes, suddenly realizing just how long he'd been working. "I'll rest when we're out of the woods on this one," he said simply. "The dome is our path to true self-sufficiency. We can't let anything delay it." To Jake's pride, the construction wrapped up ahead of schedule after an intense 2-month push. The day they activated the atmospheric shielding and were able to walk outside without environment suits for the first time was a watershed moment for the entire colony. Cries and shouts of glee filled the air as they were baked in the radiant warmth of Zeta Prime's twin suns without filtration for the first time. Jake stood back and drank it in, pride swelling in his chest. Miguel clapped him on the back heartily. "Told you we'd find a way," he said with a wink. As the weeks passed, more crucial shipments began arriving regularly from Earth. Expanded machinery, advanced biotechnology, new civilian colonists and their families. The hardscrabble shanties were steadily replaced with sturdy pressurized habitats interlocked within the dome. Steadily. Zeta Prime took shape as a true budding human colony, ushering in a new era of expansion into the stars for humanity, just as Jake had envisioned. But he knew none of it would have been possible without the resilience and determination of that core group of pioneers who had stared down impossible odds on that alien world and overcome every single obstacle through sheer human perseverance and ingenuity. Walking the streets years later, surrounded by thriving crops and prospering community, Jake couldn't help but swell with pride at what they'd accomplished against all predictions of failure. This was humanity's destiny among the stars, and the story of Zeta Prime was the perfect embodiment of the unstoppable human spirit that would propel them onward.